All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Big Lee's World Podcast. It is I, your host, Big Lee. Today, I am not coming from Big Lee's Boom Boom Room in Cape Girardeau. I am coming from, I probably shouldn't give the address here, so I'm not going to. However, I will say that I'm recording this today live in Chaffee, Missouri at the Wells household. And today, I have with me, I have Mr. Jason Wells, Miss Megan Wells, and this weird green plant that I don't know what it is, but I'm intrigued by it.
It's an aloe vera plant.
Aloe vera plant.
Common household plant.
Yeah, see, I don't have any household plants because I would kill them.
Me too.
Her mom really
My mom takes care of these.
Aw,
She does a great job.
well, that's sweet. So, how's everybody doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, getting ready for the show tonight. I know it'll be past the show when this comes out, but...
Yes, for those of y'all who are listening to this past, well, I guess it has to be past because there's no way I'm getting this up by 6 o'clock tonight. So, it is Saturday, November 30th, which, we're recording this right before the Ashley McClure 7 show that's happening with affiliation of Cape Championship Wrestling at, the Delta Community Center in Delta, Missouri. So, first things first, let's just go ahead and get this out there. So, do you know how we became friends?
Facebook. You messaged me about Big Van Vader.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I found a random post. Yes.
I was going to say at an Ashley McClure memorial show.
That is correct. Look at that. Look at that plug there.
Was that the first one?
I believe, or second.
So it was the second show.
It was whichever one that Vader was on.
Yeah, it's number 2. The first one had Crimson and Doug
Really?
Gilbert.
Okay. The infamous Doug Gilbert.
DG.
That's right.
My buddy.
For anybody that follows on Twitter at BigLee756, you've seen my many endeavors of trying to meet Doug Gilbert, which have all been failures.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, apparently if you get to meet him, everyone says he's a great guy, so... But nonetheless, let's go back there. This was in Union City, Tennessee. I'd seen a post on Facebook that one of my childhood favorite wrestlers, Big Van Vader, was going to be in Union City, Tennessee. And initially, my first thought was, this is either a scam or this is some kind of joke thing. And come to find out it was not. However, I had found a post going through back and forth that had tagged Jason Wells in it, so I reached out and I wanted to see the story behind it, and come to find out it was a whole true ordeal. And that was my first time having any kind of encounters with Jason Wells. Now, there is a story of how we actually became friends, which was also through Facebook, but that's a story we can't tell here.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah.
I guess we could just say that it was a series of 21 questions and 2 paranoid people, and that's pretty well how we became friends.
Yeah. I thought you were from a different country, like one of those Facebook people that just add you, and then he's like, he's from Cape. He must be a friend of mine messing around. We asked a lot of questions here.
Yeah.
We did ask a lot of questions.
And I was just like, wait, this guy's asking a lot of questions here. I don't know if he's trying to set me up for something here. Like, are they gonna, like, come send the cops here? Like, what's really going on here? But nonetheless, we got that all squared away. And all these years later, we are sitting here in Chaffee doing this podcast.
Yeah, former owners of a wrestling company together.
Well, I was going to get into that later on in the podcast. So for those of you
Spoiler alert.
Well, spoiler alert. Yeah, if you're at the show tonight, you probably already heard this or you've seen a Facebook post or something along those lines that shows that Cape Championship Wrestling, CCW, has been, I don't like to use the word sold out because that has such a negative notation, especially in the wrestling business. Mm-hmm. It has been bought out by an investing group who has some pretty big plans with it as far as moving the future of 2020. And then I know you're still going to be doing some work there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in and out as far as actually at the shows, and then I'll still be in affiliation with Cape Comic Con, working the doors and running the meet and greets and working with Ken, who could have been here at this podcast, but I guess Mr. Murphy's too busy to spend time with us anymore.
That's true.
So now that we jumped ahead of that, and we'll retouch about this. So tell us about how you got involved in the Ashley McClure Memorial shows and how you got to 7.
Yeah, I don't know how I got to 7, but I think we've done 7 years. This is seventh year, but we've done 9 shows.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't expect it when it started out. One of my friends, like, he had a daughter named Ashlyn, about the same age as my daughter, maybe right there with Layla.
It was Gracie.
Oh, it was Gracie.
Couple weeks apart.
Like, so they grew up separately, but they, in my mind, they were almost a lot alike, you know, and I didn't get to spend a lot of time through the years, but I would call and talk and go down and hang out with my friend Russ, and that was his daughter. And then, you know, they said that one day she had a lump on the back of her neck, and they were all worried about it, and they took her to the doctor, said it was just an infection, took her 2 or 3, and then boom, one day they were like, this isn't going away, you need to go, you know, to the emergency room. So they did, and found out she had cancer, and then she was in St. Jude for a whole year, back and forth, and you know, really got a lot closer with, I mean, I was always close with Russ and Heather, which that's the parents. I mean, with Ashlyn, you know, I got to go down, spend a lot of time with her, check on her and stuff, and when she finally ended up passing away, which was, it was during Super Bowl Sunday, I'll never forget.
February 3rd, 2013.
Yeah, 2013. It was just after the Super Bowl ended, and then we started seeing stuff on Facebook, found out she passed away, and I don't think, maybe 2 months after that, I heard what he told me that St. Jude did. Like, they didn't have to pay for their car note, their house note, any bills. St. Jude paid for all that. And I didn't really have, like, I don't have money to donate. Like, that's going to be worth, you know,
Mm-hmm.
what am I going to give a $50 donation? Back then, that may have been, I could have put us in a bad spot, but I wanted to do something more, and I knew wrestlers, and I had buildings, and bam, there it started. So, and now, I mean, 7 years later, after all these people have been here, you know, huge names like X-Pac and Vader and
Too Tough Tony.
Too Tough Tony, James Storm,
Yeah.
Davey Richards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mickey James, Nick Aldis has wrestled. Angelina Love, James Storm, I don't know if I mentioned James, but Tracy Smothers, man, I mentioned him, Doug Gilbert, Bill Dundee. Like, we've had a lot of...
Wait, I thought Bill Dundee no-showed.
No, Bill Dundee showed up. It was in Arkansas. It was when we...
So he no-showed the one in Union City?
No, Bill never no-showed me.
Okay.
Yeah. Sid no-showed the Ashland show.
Oh, we know.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. Because, you know, that was one of the things, is like, especially talking with this, and it's kind of what we were talking about when we were sound checking here, was kind of some of the endeavors and, you know, kind of experiences that we had, you know, you on the back end of it there, and me as the fan at the time going to these shows, kind of the experiences we had, because I still think, you know, a couple things stands out, especially the one that you did in Byhalia, Mississippi.
Is that because of the stomach?
So there was multiple things with that show. One, me and my buddy Justin made the trip from Cape Girardeau to Byhalia, Mississippi for this. We were told that we're going to go on down for this meet and greet that they were going to have at the local eatery, the sub shops there. And we were the only ones that showed up besides a couple of the guys that we knew, as far as the workers. Sid wasn't there. Doug Gilbert wasn't there.
Too Tough Tony was.
Too Tough Tony was. If I remember right, it was Too Tough Tony, Idle Bane. I was trying to remember who else was there.
I can't remember if Scotty wrestled or not. It seemed like a lot of the LSD group was there.
Yeah.
So,
I think Cody was there.
yeah.
So anyway, so we do this. It was a cool experience. You know, always traveling to try something new. And we get to the building, waiting to meet Sid and Doug Gilbert. Sid no-shows.
Mm-hmm.
This is where one of the endeavors of me trying to meet Doug Gilbert didn't happen. But the thing that really two things stands out to this. One we could talk about for sure. One, we'll have to ask Megan if we could talk about. So, the first one, you're shaking your head like, is that, yes, we can talk about it, or no, we can't?
You go ahead and talk about it. I don't know exactly what it is.
Oh, okay.
So, you go ahead.
So we'll start with the first one. And this, to me, is like, I don't know why this sticks out to me. I guess just like, coming from a business background, and what it takes to sell a product and things of that nature, to me, it just makes sense of how some things need to be sold. And I'll never forget, this was at the time it was Angelina Love and Davey Richards, and they were out at the gimmick table. Angelina Love has all of her 8x10s, which if you've ever know anything about Angelina Love, they're the beautiful people, the faction she was in. They tend to have more scantily clad photos than what some of your other women's wrestlers who are more actually focused on the wrestling aspect, which somebody listening to this may get some heat but that's neither here nor there. So, the ring announcer, who was doing what he should have done, going through, hyping up the crowd at the gimmick table, advertising what they had to excite the fans to go over to the gimmick table to buy the gimmick. And I remember the ring announcer had said something about Angelina Love's photos and how she had some sexy photos and everybody needed to come over here and meet them and get an autograph and a photo from her. And Davey Richards, I thought was going to kill this guy. He turned like 9 shades of red, got all huffy. Like, I remember him just like going right up to him as he's saying this. And the poor ring announcer, he looks like, wait, what? I don't know why he's so upset now.
Yeah.
So, there was that trip. Now, somebody in this room worked that show, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a special experience with somebody working there?
Oh, I do, but not in that aspect.
So, I mean, do you want to say who you worked on that show, or do you want to? Because I'm going to tell you now, this podcast has been known to be a little controversial. And it's been known to get people some heat.
Yeah. No, I did work that show, and I did work Angelina at that show.
Uh-huh.
It was supposed to be, Angelina and I, and then there was going to be a fatal 4-way or a triple threat with some other girls.
Yeah, Rebel wrestled, I think.
Right.
I was going to say that was where the story was going to.
Right, right, but
she wrestled in another match against there was Diana Taylor.
It was Diana Taylor, Diamond Doll, and Paris Kelly.
Yeah, so that was 4.
And Rebel I don't really know what was going on, but it seemed like...
Apparently she didn't either.
Oh, well, it seemed like the TNA girls, or can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it seemed like those girls really didn't... I don't know if it was just a bad day, or if they just really didn't want to wrestle some indie girls. Which any other experience I've had with Angelina Love has been a good experience. She's been very professional towards me, and she's been, a pleasure to work with, but it seemed like they didn't really want to work with us, and I don't really want to say her in general, but more Rebel. And, but no, she was pretty well told by another higher ranking TNA worker, James, that no, fuck that. Sorry, can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay, fuck that.
We have an explicit rating on here. We're good.
Okay, good. Fuck that. No, she's going to work that. Her match, that's what she was here to do. And then we still, she wanted to work Angelina and just have, a singles match with them. But it ended up working out. And me and Angelina had our match, so it was good. But I don't have any experience with the ring announcer and the...
No, for some reason I was thinking that you were in the match with Rebel, and then
no,
Rebel was unsafe to say the least.
Oh yeah, definitely. You could tell just by watching. It was, I'm sorry. But at that time, I don't really keep up. She may have gotten better by then, but at that point, she was not.
Well, that was the whole deal. So James calls me and was like, "Hey, I appreciate everything, do you mind if I bring a couple more TNA people with me that are really young and they can get some experience out there working? You don't have to worry about paying them. It all comes through me." Yeah, sure, why not? Just more money. So he brought Rebel, and he brought the, I can't remember this guy. He's signed with WWE now. But, you remember who I'm talking about?
He was a Middle Eastern guy, I believe.
Yeah. I'd have to look him up or whatever. But he I can't remember his name for anything right now, but he only worked for TNA for a little bit, and he's been in NXT for the rest of the time. But that's North Carolina. They came, and yeah, it was just to get them more experience. So we already knew that they didn't have a whole bunch. That's why I put her in a fatal 4-way. So she doesn't have to carry a whole match by herself. But I guess she felt uncomfortable, and more Rebel did, and she was getting Angelina to like, hey, you want to just wrestle me? We know I trust you and stuff like this.
Which I totally understand. I do totally understand that.
Yeah.
And in a little bit of defense.
But apparently one of the girls said that Rebel hurt her, and who knows? Like, that could have been true. I didn't get to see it, so I don't know for sure. It could have been either or to me. I don't know.
I will say, I remember around that time, either like the night before or the week before, Rebel had worked Marie Storm, and they had a really good match. So it could just be the chemistry and the vibes, and maybe she was a little bit intimidated with 3 other workers, and she's worried about getting her push in TNA. And
well, we've seen how well that worked out for her.
Well,
Yeah.
I think she. I could be completely wrong about this. Anybody that's listens or had any endeavors knows that most of my following of wrestling tends to be towards the deathmatch realm. So some of with the Impact and TNA and all that, I've kind of short of following guys like Sami Callihan and Rhino that that's kind of in and out of it. So, but for what I remember of Rebel, I don't feel like she got that push that she thought she would get. And then I think the majority of her popularity now, I guess you could say, is probably not necessarily off of the wrestling, but based off of the looks and the social media aspect of it.
Yeah. Because she was like a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, I think, too.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, she definitely had merit. And, I can understand why TNA really, push it and try to, use it to their advantage. And they did do stuff with her. She was in the Dollhouse group with Marty Bell, I think, and
Marty's cool.
Yeah. Who was the other girl that was in there? Is it Taryn Terrell? Oh, maybe Terrell left and it was someone else.
Was it Tess Locker? Or was Tess Locker and something else?
It may have been her too, Brooke. I can't remember though. But yeah, anyway, she was in that group, so they did some stuff with her. But she was fine with me. I know a lot of people. She was definitely selling those pictures.
Yeah.
Which is great.
I'm pretty sure I even got a photo with her.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. We were like, oh, well, let's go meet. But we seen her, and we're like, oh, well, we don't know exactly what she's doing, but we'll go ahead and get a picture with her because that's always a good financial investment.
Yeah, you never know.
So, like I said, after that, so Sid no-showed.
Yeah.
It's not been the first show I've been to that Sid no-showed. And actually, the only way that I actually talked to Mance Warner about this back at StarCast, we were talking about Sid, and I was telling him, I was like, if it wasn't for this guy named Bradley of the LA Hustlers, which contrary to what Bradley tells people, I don't always say bad things about him. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have got to meet Sid because he took the bullet for me and he went in there and asked Sid for the photo, which is probably one of the most oddest meet and greets I've ever done.
It wasn't technically a meet and greet.
I mean, to actually get Sid to come out, take the photo, and leave, that's...
Didn't you do it in the back, though?
Yeah, the closest he could get, because, it was really weird. I don't see how you would book Sid on a show, have him come out, cut a promo, and then just go sit in the back the rest of the night, not sell a photo op, not sell a gimmick, or anything like that. Just literally come out there, do that, and then leave.
Yeah.
Or not even leave, that's the even crazy part. He just sat back there.
Hung out.
Did you have to pay for your picture?
No, I did not.
See, hook up.
I know, look at that. See, Bradley came through for me.
Yeah.
I've had 3...
That's probably that's gotta be the coolest kinds of meet and greets, though, right?
Sometimes.
Regardless of, even though he may have made it awkward or it was awkward or whatever, but those are the best.
The awkward meet and greets are always... I don't want to say it's 50-50 because sometimes it can get a little weird because I had that one. I met a guy, some of y'all listening to this will probably know better than others, a guy by the name of Glenn Benton. He is the singer for an 80s satanic death metal band called Deicide.
No, I would not know.
You can't make that face yet because I haven't got to that part yet. So for anybody that knows about Glenn Benton and Deicide was most notoriously known because Glenn Benton was going to start a suicide cult. and it was supposed to take place in the early 2000s. Glenn, of course, did not do that. Glenn is actually also known because he branded an inverted cross into his forehead. So and this was at the Foo Bar in 2017. Jason's been to the Foo Bar. He feared for his life there, but it's okay. Anyway, so
you do for Chris Jericho.
The things you do for Chris Jericho. So we're out there. We're waiting to meet, because this is the second time to go see Deicide, because the first time Glenn Benton dodged me on getting a photo. He lied to us. So I was ready to get a photo and confront him about it. So, of course, it was a really weird ordeal. We got there super early, and we go. He gets out of a car. They don't tour in a bus. They toured in two vehicles. He drove a Chevy Cruze, him and one other guy, and then they had a Hummer, was their second vehicle, with the rest of the band that pulled a trailer behind it. It was really weird. He got out, and he asked me when I was going to open the door, and I told him, well, I don't work for the venue. I'm here for the show, and he couldn't understand that. So he asked me a second time. He's like, sir, you are security for the night. It's like, no, I'm just here for the show. So it was really weird talking to him. He fired up a bowl in the hood of St. Louis, part of the hood of St. Louis, in the middle of the street. And then he took a throwing knife and started practicing throwing a knife at a tree in St. Louis while going on a conservative rant in the middle of the street. And that was my experience with Glenn Benton. And then, of course, the third one was Marilyn Manson. But there's a lot of things in that story we cannot tell in here because I think it would get us kicked off even with the explicit rating.
Oh my
so,
God. I don't know if I want to be a part of any more conversations like that.
I will tell you this. Remind me, I'll tell you the story after we get off here. It's a great story.
Oh my.
It is great. And hashtag me too, I will say that they did not follow through with that with Manson, but that's another story. Anyways, so now getting back to these charity events here. So let's talk. So there was that one that stood out to me. Yeah. But let's go back to the first one I went to because apparently, and I'll let you kind of fill in the blanks here or kind of correct the statement. So my buddy Justin and I went down there to this. Apparently Justin and I were the only ones who had a good experience meeting Vader. We went to the car lot show beforehand. We met Vader. For him, he was super nice. We left there. We went to Applebee's. We saw him at Applebee's. He recognized us from the meet and greet, which apparently was the only two of us that really did the meet and greet. And then, oddly enough, I don't remember if I gave it to you or if I gave it to him, but I remember the waitress at Applebee's came up to us because she saw that Vader had said something to us when we came in, and he'd left his hotel key at the bar where he was at. So, had we been some overzealous wrestling fans, could have been a really weird situation. Be like, oh, hey, here's one of your favorite wrestlers' hotel keys. So, nonetheless, that was my experience with Vader. Overall, I had a good experience. Now, I know you had a completely different experience. You know, the only negative I really got to see as a fan from that show was him coming out, throwing a fit because they had a hardcore match before it, and there was all kinds of plunder in the ring, and he wasn't happy about that. Yeah. So, what is your Vader experience?
Oh, Lord. That's a tough one. So now since I've actually been booking on a consistent basis for a while, I've ran into these personalities. At the first time, I didn't know what to do, honestly. Like, the guys I dealt with were really cool, really easy, to work with. But I don't know if I've ever worked with someone that had the name of Vader. They'd been in the Starrcade main events and been at WrestleMania and stuff like that. I don't know if I've ever worked with. He was one of my first big ones I have worked with. So he comes in and we pick him up from the airport. We drive him in. Me and a wrestler in Tennessee named Big Red. We drive him in. We go and get something to eat. He wears his mask the whole time, which is cool, I guess, at Orion's in Millington. Tennessee, whatever. And so we get up there, we drop him off, everything's cool. And really, the problem started the next day because he gets with me, he calls me all frantic saying that he left his pictures, 8x10s, at home. And he needed to make some, so he had to get some ordered from Walmart, some little pictures. And I know from talking to other people, when you come and do signings like New York and stuff, you can charge a pretty good bit for your photos and autographs.
Right.
In Union City, Tennessee, it's going to have to be pretty cheap. You know, he didn't really follow those directions, so apparently he was really irritated. But you could tell, like, his moods would go in and out. Like, he'd be really happy, and then he'd be really pissed off. And it would kind of go in between. Fans would come up and start talking to him, just BSing, and he would get mad and like, hey, if you ain't going to buy anything, get away from my table. Really rude. Pissed off the owner of the car lot, which that was even hard to deal with a lot of his stuff that he was doing. Yeah, that was a pain. But Vader ended up getting on a big, it should be somewhere on his Twitter feed too. He actually climbed up that inflatable ladder and slide. It was about 20 foot high. Do you remember that thing out there?
No.
Okay, so they had like an inflatable toy for the kids to play on or whatever. So Vader climbs all the way up, gets to the very top, takes about 8 minutes, 9 minutes, and then slides down. Fucking happiest day of his life, you could tell. Like, he was thrilled. He had me take pictures to put on his Twitter because he was really getting into that. And then the day of the show, or that night.
Can we just take a pause for a second here and acknowledge that how strong this inflatable slide had to be?
It was very, a lot of people were worried. Let me just put it like that. We had to move the children back. You know, it was like, get away. It could fall on you. But we get to the show that night, and I felt like I did a lot for him to make him feel comfortable. We brought in his son. As far as I know, it was the first and last time him and his son ever tagged up together.
Aww.
Was at my show. And they had the match. He
Wait, did you know how this story ends like I do, and you still awed?
Well, I don't care who you are. Everybody deserves that. That's sweet.
Well, so we ended up doing that, and his son was actually NXT. Well, I think it was FCW at the time, tag team champion. I can't remember who he was tagging up with. It may have been Corey Graves. I can't remember. They were used to be tag team champions, whatever. But we let him work. On the way to the ring, he's going through the crowd, and I just see him pie-facing people and pushing them out of the way, and I'm like, what in the hell is going on? He gets out to the ring. I think he cuts a promo about the hardcore match, which was, whatever. He gets in the ring. He does his deal, and we have agreed that, hey, brought you in just you're going to do in-ring photos at the at intermission, and he agreed to send that all the way back to St. Jude and all this other stuff. Well, he ended up taking the pictures, doing all that. He comes back, and he was going to drive to Alabama for something for work. He was working on something, so he was going to come here and go to Birmingham. And so I rented him a car so he could go. And I guess he didn't Google how far it was, so he thought it was like 2 hours away, but it was probably like 5. And so he was pretty pissed off about that, so he ended up taking the money and just rolling out. And got a ticket out of town that I had to pay for, running a red light, got caught on the camera. So I had to pay for that ticket, and he may have pushed one of the female talents against the wall. There was a lot of stuff to deal with.
Is it true that he pushed somebody out the way so he could go take a poop?
Yes, that would be Nikki Lane. He told her to get out of the way and push her against the wall.
I heard that. So one of the stories I had heard was that his music was hitting, or his music had started, and he pushed somebody out of the room, or out of the way, because he had to go poop.
No, that was before.
Okay.
Now, when the music hit, he didn't feel like walking up the stairs to go out the actual entrance, so he decided to walk through the crowd.
Okay. I'd always wondered that, and then it kind of slipped my mind that why he came out this, because like I remember sitting on that odd side there, of the building in Union City, and seeing him not come down the entranceway, and I was just kind of like, well, wonder why he's doing that. That's kind of strange. Well, maybe he's doing it because they're trying to clean out the rubble from the hardcore match, but no, it's just because.
Yeah, which I've also learned from that experience, that if you're going to have a hardcore match, make it be like the end of the night or intermission, so there's time to clean. So, as respect to the next people getting in the ring, had a little issue with Moose about that, and that was interesting. But
let's talk about Moose.
All right.
So we're going to talk about Moose and the fact that Mr. Wells guilt-tripped me into getting a photo with him.
You want to talk about guilt trips and photos? We'll get there in a second.
Okay.
Right.
So Jason guilt-tripped me into getting a photo with Moose because show was in Union City. This was at the time he was in Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily felt like that crowd really was a big Ring of Honor crowd. So when Moose came in, it was like he came out for the in-ring photos with Jason. Nobody went up there. Literally, nobody went up there. And Jason's literally like, looking, say, hey, come on. And then, so me and my buddy that's at the show are sitting there at the corner, and he's like, hey, Big Lee, you know you want to get up here and get a picture with Moose? And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, wait. Here's him, here's Moose. Now they're both staring at me. And I'm just sitting here trying to drink my Dr. Pepper.
See, you're a leader. You're a leader of the fans. They follow you.
Yeah, they didn't follow me.
Well, damn.
So I'm just, and they just keep staring at me, and I'm like, I gotta get up here and get this stupid photo. So I get up here, literally, like, you can look the photo up on my Instagram at instagram.com/BigLee756. You can go there, look up this photo. It's there. Literally, it's me and Moose with me holding a Dr. Pepper. Literally just because I felt bad that no one else was getting up there. And my, whatever the photo, $5-10 at the time, was going to help cover the PO of Moose coming in but the highlight of that whole ordeal, or that made that, picture experience worth it, is there was some local fan there, and I don't remember exactly how it went that the local fan said it to Moose, because he was on the outside, Moose was still in the ring. It was me, you, and Moose. Yeah. And whatever the kid said, it ended up with the kid yelling, "D's nuts," to Moose.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was,
welcome to Tennessee.
Well, you remember Zach?
Uh-huh.
Okay, it was Zach.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so Zach, you would have to know Zach, but that's what made it. He has some issues, and, but sweet kid, awesome kid,
Great
and,
kid.
he yelled like, D or something like that to Moose. I'm like, what do you mean D? And he's like, D, and he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, D's nuts. And Moose just died laughing. It was, I wouldn't be surprised if he remembered that. You know, like, even if you talked to him today with all these things, you know.
Yeah.
You remember that kid from D's nuts in Tennessee?
So Union City shows, whether it was a National McClure show or it was just some regular show that we went down there for, it always ended up with some great memories. And I actually told this podcast, this part of this story on Marley Knox's episode of the podcast, which you can go back and check out the archives on your favorite podcast platforms or at BigLeesWorld.com. You can go back and listen to that and kind of get this side, the short version of the story. Now, whether or not you want to tell the detailed part of this and kind of hash into this, or if we could stop the story if you're like, no, I don't think I want to go that far into it. So I believe it was an Ashley McClure show. Mm-hmm. And I remember Too Tough Tony was there.
Oh, okay.
Isaiah was there.
Yes.
And I think, wasn't James Storm there? Or
James was there.
Okay, so
I think
and Crazy Mary was there. Mm-hmm. Which I didn't know if we was going to say that part when we get to the story. Oh. So this happens and we all get ready to go eat. So if anybody doesn't know this, if you go to Union City, you have to eat at the Applebee's. It's literally the only place you could probably eat at after 5 o'clock. So everybody goes to Applebee's, especially on the Saturday night, especially after the show. So this was right after, y'all can look up the history with Crazy Mary and kind of what happened around that time frame with her. We're not going to really deep dive too much into that here, but Crazy Mary left after the show because she had to, quote unquote, go to work the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
And it was right after all this happened. So it may, or, we can't really say if necessarily it had to do with something with, former, their colleague, like Too Tough Tony and Isaiah from the JCW world. After all that falling out happened, she magically did not want to go eat at the Applebee's, which is like a sin because you have to, if you do anything in Union City on a Saturday night, you gotta go to the Applebee's.
Absolutely.
And she didn't. And I think the thing that really stuck out to me from this is not what you think I'm going to say.
Okay.
But it's the fact that she had car trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, if I remember right, I think that Tony ended up still going to go try to find her. Or go see about asking to help her, and she didn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought it was kind of funny that because of Tony and Isaiah being there, and the whole JCW deal, she didn't want to associate, but then it came to the point to where it's like, she was having these issues now, and needed some help, and the people that could help her is not necessarily available to help her now because of the way she was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was wondering if you were going to tell the whole story about that, but then...
I mean, is there something you want to add to the story? You can't.
I will say some things are not our place to tell or talk about from our perspective.
Well, I guess, but I don't give a fuck. I mean, I doubt I'm going to see Mary again. I doubt Mary remember, any of us.
I don't know. I'm still kind of salty because she was always really a big fan of Psycho. And then when I messaged her about him passing, she never responded.
Yeah.
So, and that kind of really bothered me. And I don't know, it probably shouldn't have, but it really did.
Yeah. I don't know what that whole deal with that is. I mean, who knows? But, I mean, she was nice or whatever happened to her in Pondo or whatever. But that night, she may have been going to see a WWE Tag Team Champion.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
Wow. Well, just put it all out there.
Yeah. I mean, someone that's champion now, not past. But it's her husband, so...
Yeah?
They ended up getting married, so, I mean, I think during that time, that may have been what happened. I'm not sure.
See, every time I record these podcasts with a guest, I always say I'm going to get a pen and piece of paper to take notes about things that I want to talk about after the podcast, because... there's something else that goes with it, which I'm not going to talk about on here. Mm-hmm. If y'all remind me, that's the second story, or the second question I have, because actually I think I mentioned something to you about this before, and you were like, huh? So anyway, we talked about some of these wild things here. So with these Ashley McClure shows, you've had some other pretty big guests here. You've had some pretty cool experiences, correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, X-Pac was, out of everybody I booked, even Vader, he was the one I was most nervous about.
I could see that.
Because he was more known for the no-shows or coming in messed up or whatever. And I seen this guy walking in, and he looked rough. I mean, he looked 80 years old. He was kind of crutching in. I'm like, holy hell, that's X-Pac.
Mm-hmm.
He'd get up there. I mean, he was kind of like that, really quiet. The nicest guy in the world, though. I mean, very polite, very cool. Talking about Vader and how he would sell his pictures, X-Pac kind of knew. So he went down there, and there were some people he gave away photos to. He sold them for like $5 and $10 instead of $30 and $40. So he was really cool with the fans. And, man, it was magical, like going out there and managing him.
Mm-hmm.
And just amazing how he turned it on. Like, he looked like that, but when that bell rang, it looked like the 1, 2, 3 Kid. I mean, he was doing, you were there. I mean,
I was there.
He worked. I mean, he went out there and he did a lot of stuff. He didn't do the normal big name coming in, do 2 or 3 big spots.
And
that's
it was a 6-man tag match
Yeah.
that he was involved in, and he did a majority of that match.
Majority.
He did a majority of it. But no, he did, and that's really cool.
Yeah,
someone
if you don't book, most of the big names a lot of times don't want to do a whole lot.
Right.
You know, they want to do what they're known for. You know,
Mhm.
hit their 2 or 3 moves that are their signature things, and then call it a night and sign autographs and take pictures. He went out there and worked, which that was a cool experience. Tony is always awesome. Too Tough Tony will go out there.
I've probably done this in almost every episode I've recorded.
It was
Yep.
good.
It's always give a shout out to Too Tough Tony.
Absolutely. You know,
What's up, Too Tough Tony?
He's probably like, I don't even know what a podcast is
Yeah.
or how to listen to it. But if you ever find these podcasts or you ever click on one, it's a shout out to Too Tough Tony.
Always. I like Tony. I had good experiences with him. You know, Aldous coming in, and he was a Global Force champion then, so he actually came in and defended that against Dustin Starr. Mickey James working with you. That was really cool. So, yeah, there was a lot of cool experiences, a lot of good times.
That's the second name in the business I've not got to meet yet. It's Dustin Starr. Remember? Everyone's just still looking like,
cool.
everyone's just like, okay.
Yeah, Dustin Maria. I mean, I can.
They're nice people.
Just come down to Memphis. We'll go to their house.
Okay. So actually, that's a side, or not going to the house, but I remember I went to New Bern.
Yeah.
This was 2016, I think, late 2015, early 2016.
That was the Sandra thing, right?
Yeah, I remember that going on. Like someone had to explain it to me, but yeah. And he was there, and I thought I'd get to meet him there, and it was really weird at that time because nobody really did gimmicks there. I met fans. So I thought that was just kind of strange. So, but I didn't know that at the time. So I was just like, okay, cool. I'm going to go down there and get to meet them. And then they like dipped out. And I'm like, well, this sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But still not as bad as the Doug Gilbert deal.
Yeah, even Doug, like you were talking about the Moose Show, he actually came in because Brian Christopher was booked. And Brian was, had to be put, I think, in rehab the day before. And so Doug filled all his spots for him. So that Doug actually came in and wrestled Kilo there that night.
Oh,
so
that's sweet.
Yeah.
I forget about all these little things, but
yeah. So
it's nice to.
I don't know what it is like. Why it's so hard for me to meet Doug Gilbert? I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
Timing's not right.
Yeah, even the show in Arkansas, he chose to go meet the Horseman. He was actually at that Arkansas show.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had to.
We went to Arkansas trying to meet Joe, Samoa Joe. He
He
wouldn't get out of the car. He was pissed, and I think he left.
Yeah, he did.
So I met Samoa Joe here. Well, not here in Chaffee, but here in Cape when they had that fiasco with the commission, and they let everybody go backstage to meet him. He was cool, very reserved.
Mm-hmm.
So we've talked about Tennessee. Tennessee, Arkansas. You still banned in Arkansas?
No, I don't think so. I think all that's been.
Yeah, there's no more commission.
Yeah,
So
I thought you got banned before there was a commission.
No, I got banned by the commission.
By the commission.
Yeah, and that was
for defending
it was a
himself
BS reason.
and the guys that he was managing. So that was some bullshit, Arkansas.
I mean, that's just pretty well how you can describe Arkansas in general.
No joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
No offense to the Arkansas listeners out there. If you're listening to this podcast in Arkansas, you probably already know
We're
this.
talking about the commission.
Yeah, we're talking about the commission, and
Wink, wink.
yeah, I don't know, the wrestling shows there or whatever. I mean,
Some are good shows.
Yeah,
I've
some are
done
good
some good
shows.
shows
Some
in
advertise
Arkansas.
a lot of people, and then they don't show up.
Yeah, yeah.
That happens sometimes.
Not every single name.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to my fair share of Arkansas shows. Most of the time it was a good experience. Like I said, only recently I had that real bad experience, which apparently, like, I don't know if nobody knew who was running the show in Marmaduke, Arkansas, or everybody just thought it would be a funny ha-ha for letting me go down there and make a fool of myself to go to Marmaduke, Arkansas and nobody be there. Because apparently as soon as I said, oh, hey, none of these people showed up, everyone's like in the inbox, in the DMs are like, hey, yeah, man, like, yeah, that promoter's notorious for saying he booked people and he didn't. And it's like, where were y'all at to tell me this ahead of time? Because I have family down south, so it's not as bad if I drove literally straight from Cape to Marmaduke for this. But still, it's still an hour out of the way, and it could have been time doing something with family or friends down there.
Yeah.
So, but that's neither here nor there. We probably won't go back to the Marmaduke show unless it's something wild and crazy, and I get a guarantee.
Dude, John Cena's gonna be there for next show.
Well, that definitely would not get me there.
Oh, you don't even get to see him.
Well, yeah,
No,
that's the terrible joke for today. So let's get back on track here. So let's talk October 2015. I remember I've told the story time and time again. Ken came into the store I worked with. Right, exactly, right?
I love it.
So Ken came into this place I used to work at. He confused the rapper Boondocks with, so Boondocks.
Sorry, go ahead. No, continue.
So
on
no,
your
so
story.
Boondocks.
I will Google this later.
Now, Boondocks was a rapper that was on Psychopathic Records with ICP and Twisted. Has now moved to Magic Ninja after Twisted left ICP. So it's like the
I'm
whole
ashamed of
family.
myself for not knowing at least some of that.
Yeah.
To be honest.
So the whole family tree there. But anyways, so I've told the story time and time again. That's kind of the origin of what we've done for what ended up being for about 4 years of Cape Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
So the kind of more your end of this was Ken told me this. I talked to Ken about it. I said something to you about, hey, I met this guy at work who thinks he wants to start a wrestling promotion in Missouri. You want to be a part of it? And you're like, yeah, sure. I was like, okay, cool. So I tell Ken, I'm like, hey, I talked to this dude. He's in. He wants to be a part. He's like, okay, cool. And then 2 months later goes by and I get a random text message out of the blue from Jason. He's like, so whatever came about with doing this wrestling company in Missouri? It's like, I don't know. I haven't heard from Ken about it. So he's like, you should text him. I'm like, okay, cool. So I text him. We meet at Logan Steakhouse that night. And that was the origin of how CCW kind of went from out of the air to kind of getting on a pen and paper. But first, there was, and once again, this is known to cause some controversy, so I don't want to put too much out there and put heat on yourself.
All right.
But before we could really get CCW off the ground going, we had a little bit of an issue, which would have been the show that was attached with Comic-Con 2016 and getting over that. So you want to talk a little bit about that experience there?
Well, Ken been talking to me, and he, the first time we met at Logan's, he was telling me that he booked a couple names or whatever, and he put some stuff out there. And he's like, yeah, this guy told me he can get me, this guy for this amount of money. And I just laughed. I was like, dude, is he going to live with you for a week or what? You're paying triple the amount that he normally gets. He's like, no, you're kidding, right? And so I actually got on the phone with the guy that I do a lot of the booking and stuff with, and we talked to him about that gentleman. He's like, yeah, man, I can get him on $500, whatever flight. He'll come out there. He's like, are you kidding me? He was trying to charge me almost $2,000 for him. So that kind of started it right then. And so we went through a couple guys, and he was like, he's like, man, I'm thinking about just dumping this company and then, you doing it. But there was some stuff with licensing and stuff. It just couldn't happen. There was no way. So I was like, I'm going to come support. I'm going to check out the talent, see what they have in Missouri. I think I ended up booking 2 people off that show, 3, Billy, Osby, and Durden. Maybe Espinoza was on there, but I can't remember if it was or not. But that was it out of that whole show. Well, no, KOD was there.
Yep.
So
shout out to KOD.
Yep, shout out to KOD. I ended up booking him. Off of that, he had a really good match. He was one of the guys that kind of stood out of that show. And King came to me, and I think he was like, well, we're going to move forward with it. We're going to start here in June. Let's get together. Let's do this. And then he had to break it to the other company that he wasn't going to use them, which was...
You're really struggling hard to refrain from saying it, aren't you?
Yeah, which was, okay. It's not my cup of tea, wrestling. Okay, but I can see where other people might like it, but I don't think it would have worked here. Just honestly, I think this is a different demographic than what you need. But either way, he decided to mention them, and I think he accidentally sent Ken a message. Do you remember this? After he broke it to him, he's like, just another idiot or something trying to compete with WWE.
No, I don't remember this.
Yeah, he accidentally sent it to Ken, and that's when Ken was like, okay, I'm definitely done. Which, that's pretty dumb analysis. I mean, ain't nobody really going to compete with, your big name company, WWE and stuff like that, but it was just something cool. But, those type of people really, we kind of definitely took a different direction.
Exactly.
And especially like their big names, a lot of people, when I brought Ricochet in, he just had that match with Ospreay, which really just blew up. He was close to here, and it kind of set the tone for what kind of people we're going to bring in and do. It's just not going to be old timers, Hall of Famers, stuff like that. It's not really. I want to bring new wrestling. I want the flippy floppy out here. I want to have all different kinds of it and bring it all together and mesh it. And
I think that's the best thing about CCW. It's very diverse. It has workers of a lot of the eras. You have each worker's personality.
Yeah, Sarge coming in from the 60s.
Everyone's talent is so...
Well, you do. And everybody wrestles. Everybody talks about the Memphis wrestling. I even heard, or read where Matt Hardy was talking about Memphis wrestling the other day.
I'm pretty sure it's not Memphis wrestling. It's Memphis wrestling.
Yeah, well, that's true. It's wrestling. So, Memphis wrestling is one certain style.
Right.
And then, you move up, you have the St. Louis that has some of that. And then you have the Kansas City, you have the Illinois stuff, and out in Arkansas. So I want to bring it all together and mesh it in one. Just like, here's everybody, and we're going to bring it to one spot and do it. And that's why a lot of the success came. And, we've been doing it for 4 years. A lot of people didn't think we'd make it one.
Exactly.
No, we almost didn't make it one.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
So, I missed that show, that Comic-Con show.
Yeah.
I've told the story. My friends in the band Fit for Nod Tops was in St. Louis. I had to go support them. I did go that day to go meet, I'll say it. Terry Funk.
Yeah.
I went to go meet Terry Funk. That's one of my bigger endeavors with Ken. Ken was not the happiest that I skipped the show to go see my friends, but that's neither here nor there.
Live your life, bro.
Right. Hashtag live your life.
That's right.
So, we do that. And that was probably my first time meeting the guy that, in essence, tried to screw Ken over. And I had a bad experience with him because I did the panel with Terry Funk, and I wanted to get the picture and talk to him a little bit. However, I didn't want the line to get too... I wanted to get this going.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch of kids in there and asking these stupid WWE questions about how... So, my big deal was I wanted to talk to him because at the time this was happening, there was talks of FMW, Frontier Martial Art Wrestling, coming back, going back into business. So, I wanted to ask him about it. Mm-hmm. So, I was just going to wait until I got up there for the photo to ask. So, I get up there. I did not understand that, or I should say I did not understand. I did not realize that at this same time, when this was happening, it was going to not spark a quick answer from Terry, but it's going to be a whole long ordeal conversation, which then upset Ken again because I'm in the middle of the photo line and line's backed up. So Terry's like, we're talking and Ken's like, hey, we got to move this line. And Terry's like, well, just come to the table and we'll talk more about this. I'm like, okay, perfect. I've got time to do this. So I go out there, and then that's when I meet this promoter that tried to screw over Ken, and he did not let me talk to Terry. So I tried to talk, and he ran me off. So that was my bad experience with him.
Oh, wow. But you went to a show last week.
I didn't go to the show.
Oh, okay. You just went to
I met the Horseman, and then I turned around and walked out and left.
Okay.
So, but neither here nor there, so... Now, July starts, July 2016, CCW comes to fruition. It's our first show. It was a wild ordeal that night.
Osage.
Yeah. I mean, looking at it now, it was a pretty solid card on there. We had some stuff, probably some stuff that you can't talk about, But we had some,
I can talk about whatever I want.
well, you got to keep that job coming up, with the new people. So you probably can't be talking about some of that stuff at night.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about a certain person who was causing some issues that night.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that girl, yeah. But, so yeah, I mean, we had, that night we had Trevor Murdoch there. Kind of iffy on that. Probably didn't play out to fruition the way it needed to.
Well, he was booked to actually wrestle, and he called me the week before saying he couldn't get the license in time for whatever reason. And, he agreed to, hey, I'll still come out and sign for you, which was fine. But the only problem I'd had is I didn't know a lot about the Missouri wrestling scene and who all had license and stuff. So that was a learning experience. I had to rely on one of the guys I've been talking to, Blaster, is Glenn. He was a big help. He's like, man, I had this kid from Kansas City. He just wants a shot. He wants to try. He'll help tear down the ring. Yeah, he'll do whatever. He just wants a shot. I can bring him, put him on there. That turns out to be Hollis Giroux. And, 4 years later, triple champion, having every title here. And he, just solid kid and did a lot of good stuff and earned his opportunities. He, that was his first night with us. He wrestled Davey Vega. How could you, that's a good person to be in the ring with.
Because I think at that time, Davey had just recently gotten back from Japan. So that was a pretty big ordeal for us to have him there. So, like I said, it was a big show. We go to the next month. We go to the Ricochet show, which is one of the most notorious things that we've done. Well, I was going to say at that point in time, but we only did one show before that. But even still this day, people talk about the fact that we had, now current WWE superstar Ricochet.
Yeah.
That was the first big name. Looking back at this and kind of thinking about how things played out and how things went that night in the future, do you think it was too early for us at that time to have Ricochet there? Do you think we would have been better off if we could have had Ricochet like 3 or 4 months down the road? Because our second show up to have like a caliber talent of Ricochet, and like at that time we're still trying to really hash out the details of like anybody that, and I'll pull the curtain back on this. Anytime that you bring a big name in, your whole focus is not just getting the tickets to the door; it's the meet and greets, things of that nature. Like trying to bring it full circle so that you can continue to do this. And with him, for what I remember, like we tried some wild crazy. We had the dinner with Ricochet.
Yeah, meet and eat.
The meet and eat with Ricochet.
Yep.
And then working out the photo ops there, working out with signatures, stuff like that. I think that with a big talent like that, I think it was good for us to have it that early. But sometimes I kind of look back at that and think, how would it have turned out if we'd have been 3 or 4 months down the road?
Yeah, well, I think the big thing, it was perfect timing, I think, for him to be there. Because it kind of boosted us to a different level. Like, I think if we would have started out with another, like, 2 or 3 shows and not bring anybody in, or not, like, any kind of excitement for these fans that were not just WWE fans, your Ring of Honor fans, your New Japan fans, we wouldn't have gathered the support that we had really early on, because we had such a solid first year. I mean, crazy. And I think he kind of set the foundation for that, because no one knew who Austin Lane was. He wrestles in this area. Yeah, in this area. No one knew who he was, and that kind of...
Well, I did.
Yeah, we traveled and we went to shows.
A different breed of fan, Mr. Lee.
Missouri didn't really,
unless
you were a super fan, knew who he was, but after he wrestled him, and he put on such a good match, that set the foundation to make Austin a star and to build off him. So it was a good way to get your guys over and to sign someone up that can actually benefit from wrestling. I never was one of those guys that would bring in, 2 big names and have them wrestle each other. That does nothing for your company. That might bring them there that day, but they're not going to be wrestling each other next month. But ever that kid that did wrestle him is wrestling next month. Oh, he really showed me something. He was pretty cool. He had a good match. He's really good. It kind of carries on. So it was a good time for me because it built the foundation for CCW.
So with that, and one of the things that's like, we kind of mentioned at this earlier that CCW's going through an ownership change right now. And one of the things that's like, I've talked to some people about going through this, and which you've probably, if you've read the thing that says about us, either at the show or announcing that we're kind of stepping away for this new ownership, one of the things I plan to do is take each year by year for a podcast episode and kind of talk about it in detail, what happened, what built up, things backstage. And, we'll definitely going to have you on there to kind of talk more about that as well.
Yeah.
And kind of tell our experiences and probably a lot of the stuff that we probably shouldn't say because they'll probably really get hurt or upset feelings or heat. But what I do want to talk about though is, so what are some of your favorite, we've talked about this a little bit the other day, but what are some of your highlights of these past 4 years with Cape Championship Wrestling that you're just still kind of like amazed that it happened or really impressed or happy?
The first thing, it's kind of a tie, but I mean, the Matt Hardy thing, and Matt Hardy was here and he did his thing, and it was a crazy environment. It was a crazy time to have Matt here, and there's such a story with that, getting his blood work the day of the show, getting all the stuff done. We didn't know he was going to wrestle.
Pretty sure if I remember right, that there was a non-disclosure agreement that had to be signed.
We didn't have to sign it. I just had to, we just agreed upon it. Like he, and I'm not going to tell Matt, hey, I know that WWE just sent me your blood work, you're going back, and you're still at TNA at the time, but, and who's going to listen to me?
Let's just go ahead and say it now.
Right.
I mean, he's in WWE,
it's all
so
out.
whatever.
It's
But anyway, they sent me his stuff, and it was, that was kind of surreal to have him there, and he really, put a lot of eyes to that time. I think it was our largest crowd that wasn't the Super Show crowd, maybe still to this date. But having him there and working in that promo that he put on Twitter, I still have it on my phone.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. When he sent that to me, it was just like, oh, man, this is for real. This is real life. And Ron Simmons was really cool. His entrance, that first Super Show, stood at my mind where, the
fans are like, what I remember from that, the fans are like, great. This is just some another dumb indie company that's going to do something where they're going to play like a theme song and let somebody else use an established star, like an established theme song for some like random jobber. Yeah. And then next thing you know, like their reaction, because it's like there's a bit of silence and then it just pops because they're like, oh my God, it really is Ron Simmons.
Yeah. Hearing that, I originally had the video on my old computer, and the sound when he comes out is crazy. It's kind of like a slow building, like, oh my God, is that really it? And then boom, it is him. That's wild.
Can we mention the fact that Bradley from the LA Hustler was in tears when he seen Ron Simmons walk in the building?
No, I didn't know that.
You were there.
I know, but Bradley's always crying.
Stop it.
So yeah, just a little bit back with that. Yeah, Ron was kept a surprise. Like I think, didn't I go get him?
I think you did.
Yeah, because I went to go get him from the hotel, and when we did, like walk in the door with him, and Bradley just seen him, and his eyes just like kind of teared up.
I like doing those surprises. That's always been something really cool that we enjoy, and we've had him and Durden and. Who else was surprised?
Joey.
Joey Ryan was, Joey O'Ryan. He was, seemed like we had someone else one year, didn't we? The second year we had Simmons, and then who was it?
The first year was Simmons. The second year was Durden.
Was Durden the second year or the third?
No, the second. Because the third was, Joey Ryan.
Joey Ryan. Okay, so this will be the fourth Super Show.
Yeah, coming up in April will be the fourth Super Show.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, just some of those memories. Billy Gunn being here was also really cool to see the arena lit up in green and hit like DX music. It was like, holy crap! Like this is real. Like we used to listen to this music and play it on our PlayStations, and we had the CDs and all that. So. That was pretty cool. We had some really great moments here. And then, building up some of the talent that's come through here. And, a guy was telling me the other day, we turned on TV and we've seen these guys. You've seen the SCUs and the Hangman Pages and, Marco and all these other people. We've seen them at your show, and now they're on TV every week. So Pretty cool, Billy Gunn.
Yeah, Billy Gunn. Yeah, look at that. So yeah, I mean, I definitely agree.
What about yours? What was your favorite moment?
So it's a tough one for me. I'm kind of in the same boat. The DX deal with Billy Gunn is still just like you said, kind of hearing that in the building. The Matt Hardy deal, like, it didn't quite resonate to me like it did with you because growing up in that time, like, I was not a Team Hardy. I was always Team Dudley.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it was just
I was actually Team Edge and Christian.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I was DNC.
So, for me, definitely the DX deal. Definitely, like, hearing the Bullet Club theme, like, that kind of hit. I wasn't expecting it to hit me the way it did. But honestly, like I told you before, Homicide coming.
Yeah.
I was a big Homicide fan. Homicide coming here, Raven coming here, Thunder Rosa coming here, and the friendship I've actually gained from Hernandez.
Mm-hmm.
Hernandez is one of the nicest people in the world. He's got a great mind for the business. And legitimately, I talk to him probably at least every day or every other day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it may be stuff that we can't talk about on here.
Oh, yeah.
Does that awful group message have anything to do with that? Because that's not daily communication. That does not make you friends. Well, it does. I guess you have to be friends.
Hernandez is not in that group.
Things like that. Well, if you want to run him off.
Oh, no. No, we exchanged some similar content that's in that group message.
Yeah.
But he's just not in that group message. Because I ain't trying to put all those people's business on blast.
Yeah.
But that group chat, there's a rumor that there is a group chat between certain, how do you want to call it? Like, it's not necessarily just CCW people.
No,
It's a group of
Outcast.
It's a group of a group of outcasts, a group of people that probably have a couple of screws loose.
Yeah, some stuff that's hard to watch sometimes.
A group of some questionable individuals.
So, yeah, I mean, the group chat, like, that's what we should do. We should sell, like, membership to the group chat.
Oh, man. Premium Snapchat.
Yeah, OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. You want to see this dirty video? Check out this deer.
Show anymore.
Ma'am, I believe you was the first one that dropped the first swear word on here.
On this show?
Well, yeah.
I think you're talking about CCW show.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that kind of went out the window when we printed the CCF and W shirts.
Yeah, well, it all started with Scott Steiner. After that,
Yeah, that's pretty true. It did start with Scott Steiner.
There's certain people who can kind of get away with that.
Ain't nobody else going to tell Scott Steiner he can't say whatever.
Exactly.
Jason tried.
I told him it was a PG show, and that's about all I could do. I knew it. Like, whatever he decides to say.
You did your best.
Yeah, I already know. Fixing that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And luckily Fight, they don't really have that restrictions on there.
Yeah, no, they didn't. I was more worried about our fans and some of the kids that were there, but, I think most people have seen Scott and some of the stuff he said, and it was what it was, and I personally became a bigger fan of Scott Steiner since he'd been here.
Yeah.
Because, like, he actually texted me after show thanking me for everything, and it was pretty cool to have the Steiners, Animal, all together, the Wise Church, great tag teams.
Right.
At one time, but probably top 5 tag teams, 2 of them right there in front of you.
The Wise Church, and who was the other one?
LOD.
Who?
No. the Steiners and Animal. To have those kind of legends there was really cool, because a lot of people, they think of Scott Steiner, but the Steiner brothers were pretty, they were pretty awesome back in the day, champions everywhere they went.
I would definitely say I think I said something about this earlier, but I guess that would also be one of the top moments, is my mom was a big fan of the Road Warriors, and for her to get to meet Animal, like, she was so ecstatic. She was like a kid at Christmas, and that really warmed my black and beating heart. So that's definitely up there, the top moment, with Homicide and Raven.
Yeah.
And so it's actually quite funny when I remember talking about the Cage show beforehand with Mom. She had asked, she's like, well, I've never heard of Homicide. And I was like, well, here, watch this video. So I sent her some of Homicide's greatest workings. Mm-hmm. And she was like, well, wait, that guy's going to be at CCW? I'm going to be there for that. So, but yeah, that's definitely one of the highlights. So
he was good people.
He was like,
Yeah, he came here and hung out, him and Hernandez, and before they rode, and it was a cool time to just hang out and BS with those guys. I mean, like, really, you know, growing up watching them on TV, you know, like watching them tag up and do their thing in TNA, and you know, just his history, Ring of Honor champion, and man, yeah.
Yeah, and then I was going to say with Hangman Page.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You got to ride with him.
Yeah, so in a weird experience, so like his flight got changed or canceled or delayed or whatever on the way there, so I ended up having to go pick him up because just of time frames and what all needed to be done. So I went to go pick him up, and just being in the car talking with him, he was a trip to talk with. But like nothing bad. Like he's really like a super nice guy. Like I still think it was funny. He told me that so apparently something with his flight, and apparently if you book a round trip and you don't take the flight in or the flight out, it cancels the flight in. Mm-hmm. So he was really worried that he was not going to get home the next afternoon for Sunday brunch with his grandma and getting her homemade biscuits.
Mm-hmm. That is something to be worried about.
Yeah, definitely so. He was, I remember how that all went down. They we had a call with Delirious.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, I can get you some of these guys, you know, to come in and they'll do a signing. They can't wrestle, but whatever. And he was pushing for some different names. And he's like, man, pretty much the only guy that I can get you from Bullet Club is Adam Page. And I'm like, I want him. He's like, well, we can get you this guy and this guy for a little bit more. And I'm like, no, I want Hangman. I just felt like he was going to be a star.
Right.
And
he's got the look. He's got the skill.
I mean, he puts on great matches. And, you know, I definitely don't regret that decision.
So with that being said, he kind of rolled right into the next thing here.
That's what I did.
Yep. Just roll right in. So, you said, you know, about the people you wanted. Let's talk about the people that we didn't get. Uh-huh. We'll talk about the people I suggested to get, and you laughed at me. You know, told you we should have got Punishment Martinez, and you didn't listen. And look at him. So the other guy, I don't necessarily know how to put it without sounding either bad or getting heat. But I'll say that we looked at getting a guy who had a very standout performance at this past Survivor Series with Roman Reigns. And we did not take that offer. I look back at that and I was like, that one I'm kind of on the fence on, because like looking back now, how awesome it would have been to have him here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, for what that person and by no means is it saying that what he told us that it would cost for him to come here is saying that he's not worth it. He's worth that. He was worth that back then and every bit more. But one of the things in the wrestling business you have to realize is your market and what you can try to break even on. Uh-huh. And I think that's a lot of the things that people don't understand with this business is that, you know, we want to bring in big names and have all these big shows and things of that nature. But at the same time when we do these shows, it's like, we're not doing this to buy our second and third house. Yeah. Like, we're doing a lot of these to break even.
Yeah, we're doing it for the love of wrestling.
Exactly,
really.
Yeah. So it's just kind of like, so with him, like, I think it would have been cool to have, but, you know, I still go kind of back and forth on whether he would be, you know, if we could have broke even with him.
Yeah, I think what it would end up being, it has been a cool story to see, hey, you know, check out this guy. He comes here, you know, or he came here, and now he's, you know, doing all this cool stuff in WWE, which, you know, I was really happy with having Kyle O'Reilly. Like, that
yes.
kind of goes under the, you know, for whatever reason, it's not brought up a whole lot, but Kyle, just coming off being a Ring of Honor champion on his
They did the Sports Illustrated article on him as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, he had a lot going for him to come down here and manage and then wrestle one night, and, you know, that was pretty cool to work here twice.
Yeah, because it's like, hey, come in and manage, cool. Oh, hey, he's coming in to wrestle, cool. Oh, hey, well, what about coming back? I can't.
Yeah, I got some stuff going, and I've been told that by a couple different people. I know when this started, I reached out to Roger Strong.
Yeah.
He was like, "Man, I'd love to, but my calendar just filled up." I know what that means.
So one of the things I do also remember is this is when we turned your office/spare bedroom into a war room one afternoon because we tried to book Adam Cole. Like, do you remember this day? Like, I remember it was nonstop email after email after email trying to reach people like, hey, can you get, hey, you know.
Yeah, that,
and that short window that he was taking indie bookings.
Yeah, it didn't last very long, and he was booked. He was one of those guys that we probably would have moved the date for him.
Yes.
To fit his stuff. I mean, there's a couple guys like that we've done. Matt Hardy was one of them. Like, we didn't.
Well, I was going to say, we didn't move the date for Hardy.
We didn't have to.
We literally had like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a testament about, you know, the draw there that, you know, we had that solid of a house, 2 week, like, because it was just going to be it was like Crown of the Tag Champs, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a tag team tournament. Brandon was our champion. He was tagging up with someone that night, and I broke him off just so he could be in a singles match against Matt and defend the title. And
did it kill your soul that you didn't have enough time to get a blood working license working?
No, I don't care about being a part of the show. That's one thing that a lot of bookers and stuff have their problems because they always want to be out there doing stuff and hands on. Like, I trust the guys I'm bringing out there. I don't want to manage. I don't want to do all this other stuff. I'm completely fine just watching the show run and making sure it runs good.
Mm-hmm.
But some guys can't step away like that, you know.
Well, a lot of those guys are workers themselves. You've always been, you know, different. You've always been the manager, the man who's in charge and runs things, and it's just what you do.
Yeah, I brought so many people to success, and when they leave, look at them. Oh, so sad. Just fucking go into the shitter. You know?
Yeah, some of them, I look back at that, well, just to knock everything over here.
Sorry. I got huge thighs. I don't know
Yeah.
what it is.
I'm surprised you haven't bought one of them thick thighs Stay Live shirts.
Yes. Moist.
Moist thighs probably don't save lives.
Slip right on through. What the hell?
Yeah, because I mean, look at, like, it's crazy to look back at some of the cards from the first shows versus some of the cards that, you know, we've gotten into, you know, year 2, year 3 of actually running the shows here. It's kind of crazy, especially considering, like, you look back at the actual flyers from the first couple shows, like, half those matches didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because I was actually telling somebody a story the other day down at that trip in Arkansas, and I don't know if I could tell the story. Can we tell a story about people and their poor booking choices? Their choices in who they decide to take a booking from. Because, see...
Yeah, no, you can talk about that. I mean,
you know, because I've already got, you know, one promoter that's got heat against me for having people in here that are talking that smack. But
when we did go to Arkansas, you did get to know my celebrity in that state.
Yes, like, yeah, that actually is a true story. They made an announcement that we're sitting there, not that, you know, CCW, you know, management member Jason Wells is here.
Is this in Hoxie?
No, this is in Osceola.
Osceola, Arkansas. Yeah.
And what was it? They're like, Arkansas wrestling legend Jason the Brain is here with us.
I had to stand up and wave.
He did.
Oh my god.
Everything.
And I just look over at Ken, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. These people must have that low standards around here. No wonder Sid don't want to meet any of them.
Legend.
Yeah.
Man who doesn't wrestle.
Arkansas wrestling legend.
Yeah. So, I was looking back. Actually, what made me think about this was I was looking back at some of the shows, kind of prepping for what the next few episodes are going to be with the retrospective of CCW. But was looking back. Do you remember a certain piece of talent? This may have been show 3, I think.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Probably Del Wild.
Well, I wasn't going to put his name out there.
Fuck him. I'll say it. No.
So yeah, apparently this is the guy I had never heard of him. Drop Dead Del Wild was supposed to come work for Cape Championship Wrestling on this show, and apparently he decided he did not want to work for us because a certain promoter that was associated with the NWA told him that he didn't want to run what he had going down there for him, and that the NWA is going to make him a bigger star. Is there truth to that story?
That worked out real well.
No, it's 100% true. And I mean,
he's probably still undefeated.
I
think I seen that on a flyer at the Old West Buffet.
Yeah. Well, truth be told, like, at the time, it was more of, I wanted to get local guys and bring them in and let them do stuff and, like, try to build the local guys, because he just lived 30 minutes away.
Oh, that's right. He worked at Walgreens in Sykeston. I think I ran into him one day. I was in there. No, seriously, I was in there one day several years ago printing off promo pictures, and he was like, odd question, but are you a wrestler? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you must be too, to recognize that or not question me, thinking that I'm super obsessed with myself with, 15 copies of the same picture, whatever. And so we started talking about it anyway. And then he was going to come in a couple years later and then disappeared.
No, he did for one show. And, he did his deal. But I think it was more of a issue with the guy that I put him in there working with. And he wanted to do stuff with him in Tennessee. And that's what caused the friction. So he just pulled them all together.
I don't remember who he was supposed to work.
He was working an angle with Sarge.
Okay.
And Sarge was like, hey, why don't you come into Union City and work with me? We can get some chemistry going. And that, even though they're, an hour apart, Union City and Dyersburg area, they had some heat right there and they pulled them off. But, it didn't, in retrospect, it didn't really hurt us, and didn't have any impact on us, because we ended up, instead of doing that, we started doing a feud, I think.
Because Blaster debuted that night, I believe.
Yeah, I think that was a Blaster debut. Because that was his third. He was supposed to wrestle on the third show, because we set. He did his little thing at the show with Ricochet and attacked Sarge, and then set something up, and then after that he said he wasn't going to do anymore, which, hadn't heard from him since, and, whatever. I mean, he makes his own decision. You live with it. I mean, that could have been the best decision for him. I mean.
So I want to segue kind of away from CCW for a second here, and I want to talk about something that's always been an interest of my mind, just kind of looking on the business aspect of it. And I've had I will say little dealings with you about this, but I've seen some of your reaction towards some of this. So, y'all two are married. You're a worker. You're behind the scenes. So, fan interactions, especially with your wife.
Yeah.
Because still one of my favorite stories to tell is the fact that you didn't believe about people doing in-ring photos with you. And then the fact that the guy had to stop and back up the line because he had too much porn on his phone to delete it. And then I don't know if I found that one more awkward, or the fact that the guy that got up there and confessed how much he loved you. So those two were two of the more awkward experiences. And that is when, after even considering the handicapped guy who threatened to fight Kyle O'Reilly in the cage. But anyway, so I want to talk about this aspect of it, because what was it? I remember this was probably our first year and a half into business doing CCW, that somebody had posted on their Facebook that they wanted to marry a little bit, and they were madly in love. So how does this like work with the two of y'all and dealing with these kind of issues, things, and creepy, crazy fans?
Oh, well, she kind of just deals with it on her own. Like if people message or say something, I don't remember anybody being like overly inappropriate. In the wrestling business, I mean, there's fans, and then you can't even trust a lot of the workers, so you got to be kind of careful of that as well. Most of the
so we're not going to lead into stories with that.
Huh?
We're not going to lead into stories with that.
No, it's just like the wrestling business. There's a lot of guys that just that's kind of one of their benefits getting into it. Is there's going to be females that want to hook up with wrestlers, and they see an attractive female, and that's the first thing they go after, and that's what they're trying to get with. And most girls is pretty easy. I mean, for me, it was extremely easy. I'm just kidding. No,
There's just something about you.
Yeah, exactly.
Being the Arkansas wrestling legend.
Exactly.
Hey, that was after we were together, just so you know.
We were together when I got kicked out of Arkansas.
Yeah.
No, it can be a little strange, but you gotta, if you had someone that played along, that would probably make it a lot worse. But she's very, fast to tell someone to fucking, fuck off, pretty much,
Yeah.
and I'm not interested in stuff like that. I even made a fake profile one time and messaged her trying to hook up with her. You want to tell that story?
Yeah, Fred. So, I had gotten this message one day, and it was like, I don't know, he was being inappropriate, talking about hooking up, and I'm like, no thanks, I'm married, and then started talking shit about my husband, like, you don't want to be with that fat fuck, and all this stuff, and I'm like, hey, fuck you, and I really went off. And then so I told him about it, I'm like, listen to this, and I was worried he's gonna get upset, and he was like really cool about it. He was like, oh, well, fuck it, it's just some idiot being an idiot. And then, like, the next day I was thinking to myself, he was way too cool about that. And so I kind of dig into that profile a little bit, and I'm looking at the profile picture, and it's of my front yard, of a picture of the fucking snow. And he's easy as hell to figure out. So I figured out the password and everything, and I, get in there, and I shut the whole thing down. But I was like,
I had so much fun. I would,
he was fucking with so many people. And
I was
this is
messaging
going on way
him.
too far. And so just shut it all down.
Yeah. She had, one of the wrestlers in Tennessee, his name was Oz. I don't know if you remember Oz or whatnot, but
we had a great run. Like, me and this guy worked each other for 2 years straight down in Dyersburg. He played a gay gimmick, and he did it so freaking well. And we had excellent, good working chemistry, but he was started fucking with him.
I messaged him. I'm like, I know you're not pretending out there. It's not an act, and I can give you what you want and all this. He's like, I told you, I'm not fucking gay. He just started yelling at me.
Oh
I mean,
God.
it was pretty good. I've got
good.
blocked a couple times. Yeah, it was pretty good. We got that one stripper that gave us a price on massages.
Okay, so I went to high school with this girl, and we were we used to be really good friends, and then I don't know, she got involved into some hardcore drugs and stuff, and went on to doing some very questionable things for a living, and so he decided to fuck with her. I'm like, come on, man, that's a little too much, and I don't know.
You got a decent price, at least 50% off.
Well, hey, there you go. It's all about saving money.
I was so shocked. I was like, no fucking way. Cause you don't expect that. I was like, no way. I can't wait to see her response. She's gonna tell you to go fuck yourself in some creative ways. That is not what happened. And so I was like, well then, that'd be a nerve.
Well, the
holy
reason
shit, people are not who they used to be.
Well, the reason I asked for it is I look at it now and with the rise of social media and everybody puts all their business and stuff out there, and I see how some of these female talents are and some of the things to me that I see them do is just kind of weird. Probably one of the weirdest things I see is the people who sell their used gear online.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
That's so hilarious to me.
Depending on what it is, I would let her do it.
Right, you want to buy my socks? You can totally buy my socks. I've seen other people do it.
Yeah, I've seen people
I was with somebody in Arkansas who she shall remain nameless, but we were at this big Arkansas event on 4th of July, and
4th and 4th.
we were in this tent, and we're the only 2 female workers in this tent full of it seemed like 30 men. It was awful. It's one of those event tents. Anyway, she's like, hey, sneak out back with me. And usually that's code for come hold this towel so I can change real fast, because as females we gotta do what we gotta do in a man's world.
Yeah.
So we go out, we step back there, and nothing's going on. We're just standing there and we're talking, and all of a sudden this man comes up. They talk. It's no big deal. She's big in that area. People know who she is. No, I don't think of anything until I see she hands him a bag and he hands her money, and I'm like, what the fuck, did I just witness a drug deal out of you? I was so shocked. She was like, no, that was my fucking socks. And she's like, I was like, your socks? She's like, yeah, he totally swapped my socks for $100.
So here's the thing. It's creepy to me on multiple levels. One, why somebody would want to buy it, but two, it's when I see people selling these things, it's all I can imagine is them sitting in a dark room, just huffing them.
Yeah, that's pretty much
I
it.
don't want to think, like, listen, I do customs, so I really don't want to think about the thoughts of people, even though customs can be very provocative. I keep it professional. But, you know, what people do behind their computer screens or at home alone with their purchased items is what they do. And I'd rather not know about it. But I know I did have talked with several female talent who have been flown out to places to
Walk on people's
faces, kick them in the nuts.
They pay them good money.
They pay them good money. They pay their flight, their hotel. They give them extra money for spending while they're there. And all they're doing is like they're feeding into the fetish. The most I'll do like a barefoot match, but that's old school women's wrestling, and that's pretty much what our custom company is about.
I'll do whatever for $1.
I was gonna say, if any of y'all out there want to buy Big Lee socks, like, I don't care what you want to do with them, you can hit the DMs.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, like, I don't do that provocative shit, but if you want to buy my socks, I'll totally sell some used socks.
It's crazy the stuff that they would, that people are into. That's what's wild.
Christmas is coming.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, because I mean,
have a shoot job. No, I'm just fine.
So here's the thing, and this is the thing that, like, I guess kind of weirds me out about it, is that, like, I can understand, like, I'm a big photo person, like, yeah, I'll throw a couple dollars down and get a photo with somebody, like, some talent or something like that, you know, or if it comes with if I have to get the autograph, you know, I'll get the autograph and I'll either give it away, throw it away, or whatever, just so I can get the pictures. Like, that's my thing. Like, I don't see, like, I can't imagine there'd be people out there that's like, oh, hey, I'm such a huge fan that I'm going to go through and buy these people's gear and, like, frame it and put it on the wall and, like, have a room in my house that's, like, all gear, like, framed gear around the room.
Let's hope that that's what they do with it.
I'm pretty sure it's not. Like I said, I still imagine them, like, you know.
Well, there's some collectors.
Left hand in the.
Yes, there are some people, like, you know, big name people, you know, who wouldn't want to have Ric Flair's fancy robe that he walks out with. Like, that's fucking cool, but
not
somebody's
socks or underwear.
You know,
I wore these tights.
Yeah.
Tight, you know, even tights, trunks. I could see framed trunks. Like, that's cool from your idol. You know, that if you're a true fan and you're not being a perv about it. Not like female bottoms.
Oh.
Jesus.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be all. I feel like perv's the only way it goes from there with something like that.
I think so, especially the female stuff.
With the female perspective, you know, and it's
that's probably true.
Because it's like there are people I've talked to that are like big female wrestling fans. Like that's their, like I said, like I'm a big deathmatch guy. Like that's my number one interest. Like there are some people that's like big female wrestling fans, and you know you see different promotions out there that like that's what they. You know, Pondo's got the girl fighting, you know, you got Rise and Shimmer and all this stuff. And that's what they focus on. It's not like...
But they're showing the professional side of it. You know, with those guys in those promotions, they're thinking...
But there's still those people like that who are selling, like, the used gear. And to me, it's like, it's almost like they're double dipping. It's like, hey, you know, you can buy our merch here, but we still know, like, you want to interested in buying the gear and I'll sign it.
Yeah.
Which means like you're getting marker high where you're sniffing the rest of it. So like that to me is, you know, but that leads to something else, and whether you want to talk about it or not, you said like you like to do customs, but you want to do it very professional.
I do it very professional.
But I heard you also are kind of short fused and like to shoot on people.
Hey, you know, yes, I love the rumor mill. Let's keep it going and stir that pot. I've debated several times, like, do I want to get on there or get on anything and say my side of things? But it seems like you're fucking pushing me there.
Would I do something like that?
I've tried to,
You know, I'm not a controversial person.
No. And, you know, I don't know.
You can tell the story.
Man, I really try to stay silent because I don't want to feed into the drama that comes with it. Because as far
she has
as
less than 500 followers, it's gonna be okay.
Oh well.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a chance you can also plug your social media on here.
Oh yeah, I can't remember my social media, so if you could look that up, you know, I can plug it here in a second.
Right.
No, but I don't know. I have made mistakes in this business. That's no lie. Yes, there's been times where I have had a drink and put myself in a not so good situation. But that was an accident, regardless of how it was looked at. And I have apologized for that. And if I didn't give a shit, I wouldn't have stopped that match to make sure everything was good and keep that match going. That's the start of things, okay? Because that's where a lot of shit goes back to.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward several years later, I'm working at Customs. This was actually a couple months ago, matter of fact. So I'm working this custom show. Everything's going well. Everybody's getting along great. We've all had several matches. Seen this girl work other girls. She did fine with them. She really didn't speak a whole lot, which I wasn't around a lot. I kind of help run this custom taping. So I'm kind of involved in both areas. So we get to the point where we're up, it's our match, and we kind of talk some things over, not a whole lot, just a little bit. Then we start the match, and it starts off real weird. I don't know, things are just really odd. Like, she's supposed to be the baby, I'm supposed to be the heel. Quickly turns into, like, super heel, and I'm like, alright, you know, like, I'll follow this lead. Like, I try to work how you work. Like, maybe that's just her gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know her. And I didn't know her beforehand or heard of her in any way.
So you're not a big fan of MLW?
No.
Okay.
Either company. But, anyway, so so we're working this match, and, you know, I noticed that she's fighting against me. She's really trying to work me into a hold, and it's like, I will flow with you. I can work, you know, this is Customs. I'm not trying to kill myself. Just chill out. Well, anyway, and just totally working against everything I'm trying to do, not listening to me and not telling me anything either in return. And then but we're still working well through it, you know, get to a certain point, and she had me down, you know, I'm working my way up, and I'm looking down, I'm on my knees, I'm on my hands and knees, and I'm looking down, and there's a boot, like real shoot boot to the back of my head, face plant into the mat. That was not called. I didn't see coming. You know, you just knocked me down, let me work my way up. Once again, we're working. It's a match, and it's also Customs. So, either way, I feel that, and I'm very particular about my head. I've had several concussions, and I've been hit in a certain area several times. So, it kind of, yeah, when it comes to that, I do have somewhat of a short fuse. But I didn't get up and just start beating her ass like it was played out to be. I got up and I forearmed her stiffly to the chest, snatched her in a headlock, and I said, we're going to calm down now. And she said, are you fucking crazy? This bitch tries swinging on me like hard-ass elbow. But I was kind of too far back for it, but she starts then immediately like side-blowing me. Okay, what the fuck? So I just forearm her to the back, grab her back in a headlock. We're going to calm the fuck down. She's like, are you fucking kidding? And I said, you've been hot since the start. We're done. I shot her off, watched for the back elbow, gave her a nice professional back elbow, nothing hard into it. Go for a pin. I said, stay down. Even the ref said that is the only time she listened to you. And that's fine. That match is available on lpww.com, libertyprowomenswrestling.com. You can go find it. What's that girl's name?
Ariel Blake, right? Is it Ariel
Something
Blake?
I think it's Area Blake.
Area, whatever. So, anyway, it's my match and her match, like 336, somewhere around that area. You'll find it. It's the only match I have with her. So you can go and be your own judge of things. But either way, so I asked, as soon as the match was over, I said, are you good? She said, yeah. Are you good? I said, yeah. End of things. She's done for the night. Her matches are done. She gets her PO. She leaves. Apparently, she said some shit going out the door. Next thing I know, like, we're done with taping for the night. We're wrapping up. I checked Twitter. Blowed up with all kinds of shit. And then the next thing I know, I've given her a black eye, which I've still yet to see. First of all, if you're going to get on there and bitch about your black eye, or even put it out there like you're some badass because you have a black eye, and you're going to whoop my ass and do something about it, you could at least show us the black eye. Just saying. But still never seen it. But then I wake up the next day, and she's telling everybody, turns out, so I found out that girl was drunk. If I had been drinking, I think you would have known that when you started wrestling with me. When we locked up, I think it would have been pretty obvious if I was drunk or not. But either way, you do you, boo. I hope it got you what you needed. I noticed, like, a lot of other folks running their mouths and putting their opinions in on things, and that was
They're
fun.
nobody's also, so it works out. That's one thing. Like a lot of these people from the Tennessee area and stuff like that like to get on there, but God knows.
Wait, Tennessee people have Twitter?
Oh yeah, they know with Twitter.
Well, no, it was more Facebook.
It was more
Oh,
Facebook,
okay.
but they get on Twitter just to see things. I don't think they really do a whole lot with it. But I don't do anything
Britney
with
Spears
my
does
Twitter
follow
either.
me.
Britney Spears does
Yeah.
follow him.
Yes,
It's kind of a big deal.
Well, Hatebreed follows me.
That's kind of a big deal too.
Yeah, I like some of their songs. She does not.
Well, that's sad. We just wait for like a defense. You're just like, no.
Well, I mean,
Corn
Yes,
follows me on Instagram or on Twitter as well.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
that is really cool.
Yeah, Doug Gilbert follows me.
Doug Gilbert follows me as well.
Ah! Too
Nice.
sweet. Too sweet.
Look at that. See?
I actually think Doug Gilbert follows me as well.
Hey, get the fuck out of here. Okay?
Yeah, we actually, I think we were actually at KFC one day and we were talking. It was like, we were going through comparing who follows who on Twitter. And, I think we figured out that Jason has more wrestling folks that follow him. And I have more musicians that follow me. So it's a wild endeavor. So with that being said, to kind of wrap this all up here. So what does the future look like for y'all? Megan, I want to start with you. So where are you at with everything? She's like, I don't want to be put on the spot.
No, I don't really know. I love wrestling. I have a love-hate relationship with it. I have this awesome job and a great family. And so I'm just, almost 13 years in. I'm not into all the time. I love the once a month things. CCW is a great show. And I think for someone who's not traveling and someone who's not out there and really putting in as much as someone who's trying to go somewhere, CCW is a good place for those people to be. And so with me involved, it's like I'm taking away someone else's opportunity. Don't get me wrong, I'm still going to be involved when and where I can, especially like today, the Ashley McClure show. I'll never miss one of those. It's a special show. And I'll fill in anywhere else that I can or that I would like to. But I'm still cool with what I'm doing right now. And who knows? Everyone knows when they leave, they come back. So within a year, things could be different.
Right.
Keep pushing to do a little more. Who knows?
Nobody ever really gets out of the wrestling business.
That's right. That's right.
Jason Wells, what does the future hold for you? And don't say you're getting off the couch. That does not count.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I'm going to be working with CCW and booking and bringing talent in and hopefully getting to a resurgence of it. Not that it's on a downslide, but I think it's very obvious we've lost a lot of momentum in the past year or so, year and a half, too. So this is hopefully I can help them in any way they need as long as they need. And, really just concentrating on family and work and my real job. I've been pretty lucky and successful there. And, that's translated into Megan getting her hair done every month.
There you go. You just went out to Utah. I see you didn't get a second wife while you were out there.
No, I didn't. But there is a thing in Salt Lake City. They have the shirts say SLUT. And Salt Lake City, Utah, but they put it slut.
Nice.
I wanted to buy one.
You should have.
But apparently, I'm glad I didn't.
I don't know if I would have wore it.
She would have
I would have.
Special
Yeah.
occasions.
Yeah. I'm a slut puppet. Ain't gonna lie.
Slut puppet.
I'm a slut puppet.
All right, awesome. So with that being said, I want to thank y'all for being on the podcast today. So where can everybody find y'all on social media?
I am on Facebook, and I have a Twitter, but it's not active.
It's MWells_1 on Twitter is hers. Mine is Dub55 on Twitter. I have almost 700 followers, so I'm getting up there. I need to have Marco give me a retweet or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no joke, Marco.
Yeah, put us over here. But, yeah, I mean, we got that, and I'm on Facebook. I have two accounts. Fans, I don't
try to keep
Yeah.
the professional and the
I'm keeping the
personal
wrestling
separate.
one on one, and then, you know, my personal one on the other. So I try to separate those. But Dub 55 is pretty much everything. And a lot of times on Twitter, I'll kind of be a little bit more honest than I am on Facebook, because Facebook, you have to be really, like, PC about everything. You know, I can tell the world I'm not a big Jim Cornette fan on Twitter.
Yeah. Not a big Jim Cornette fan.
Makes me feel good inside.
So, a couple things with that. One, it always does, like, it's almost like a holiday whenever Megan does tweet something. Or, like, sometimes, like, I have to go and check and see, because, like, she'll tweet something, it'll show up on my timeline, and I'm like, do I just not see her tweets that often? And then I go click on the profile and I go down and read, and I'm like, oh no, it's just that once every couple months she decided to put a tweet out. And, you know, your hatred for, or I guess it's not hatred, your disliking of Jim Cornette, which amazes me. But then again, like, I was good with Jim Cornette until he started talking bad about deathmatch wrestling and my boy John Wayne Murdoch. And then that's when I kind of had to 86 it. So where did your hate from Jim Cornette come from? Because I've known you to have two disdained people, or two people that you really hated in the wrestling business, that you've really been overly vocal about. One being Jim Cornette, and I don't know if you want to say the other one or not.
The Fury?
Huh? No, not. No, I mean somebody that matters.
Oh, okay. Alright.
Carino.
See, Carino, yeah. Which is, you know, here nor there. He's, you know, I guess really not that relevant in the scene anymore. He's more backstage doing stuff. But the stuff with Cornette, man, I don't even remember when it happened. But just like, but I've been on that bandwagon for years. I mean, like, before hating Jim Cornette was cool, I was the guy that did not like Jim Cornette.
I can vouch for that.
And I think a lot of it is the reason that a lot of people fall into this, and kind of you see it in Tennessee a bunch too, is the fact that they think that old school wrestling is the only way and everything else is garbage. And we're not too far from Memphis. We're not too far from a lot of these shows.
Right.
And that was one of the purpose in using these guys, is to show, you know, hey, Joey Ryan's going to be here, and people like Joey Ryan. And I could care less if they like him or if they don't. But that old school stuff doesn't draw anymore. But they still present it as the gospel.
It's funny. We were down in I was Tullahoma, and for a Game Changer wrestling show, and it was pretty funny because the crowd was kind of a mixture of the people that had came in early for that show because they had the big show in Nashville the next day, but that SWF crowd, kind of mixed into that, which I don't think fully understands.
No.
Kind of what GCW was doing with the whole Wombat and things of that, and kind of the way they had seating setting up, I was not a big fan of. We made it work. Like, I actually didn't get to sit with my buddy down there. Like, we had to be split apart because we both had front row tickets. And the locals got in there and didn't follow the ticket things, which is neither here nor there because they ended up getting set by a local, which ended up probably making the show even better for me, considering that first issue we had was when the Lord and Savior, the King, Nick Gage came out and got to Rowdy kind of in our section, which was cool because he kind of recognized, because, you know, your boy's out there with the big MDK shirt on, and he knows me as the guy that was willing to take his first flight to go to Chicago for NGI 3. So whenever he sees me, he don't ever remember that my name's Lee, but he remembers I was the guy that flew to Chicago for NGI. So anyway, so he comes over, and he gets a little rowdy like he does in our section, which is cool. Well, with the local Tullahoma fan there, did not realize it, she got upset when he came over and spilt her Diet Sundrop. And like, that was an ordeal and a half. She was upset.
Sundrop is a big deal down there.
It is, and it tastes terrible.
Sundrop, right?
It was my dad's favorite soda, and I don't understand why, because it tastes like garbage. It tastes nothing like Mountain Dew. It tastes like trash. But needless to say, so then the second issue that we had there with it was, and it's still probably one of my favorites because it's just like such a mind trip. Y'all know who Effie is? You know who Effie is?
I'm better with faces.
Oh.
I'm not.
She wouldn't know who.
Okay. So Effie came out. So Effie, I don't know, how's the best way you would describe Effie?
Oh man, like a flamboyant Joey Ryan.
Yes. Very flamboyant, very out there Joey Ryan, basically. So Effie comes out there with his tag partner for the night, which is one of the things like Juicy Jimmy.
Uh-huh.
And he's another flamboyant guy.
Yeah.
But he's also like probably 500 pounds. So they come out there, they do their very flamboyant gimmick. They kind of start blowing kisses and all that with one another. And so this lady who's sitting beside me, starts like gagging. Like she's losing her mind seeing this. And I'm just trying to hold back the laughing. And so they came back out a second time because they're big. Because when they did like the mock style like studio TV, so they did it. So they came out again and they worked the Rejects, John Wayne, Murdoch, and Reed Bentley. And it was so funny because they had come out earlier and they cut the promo talking about how they don't like that kind of stuff and all that. So anywhere else in the world, like, if that show's done in Chicago, New York, LA, like, that would get them massive heat, and that's what they're trying to get is this massive heat in Tullahoma. The only problem is you're in Tullahoma, so now you've got, like, half the building, like, we agree, yay, Rejects, yay. So, it's funny, so then their main thing comes about, and, the old lady over here who's like, yay, Rejects, because this is happening. And it's so funny because it's like, if this lady really knew anything about the Rejects, it's like by far the exact opposite of what they're out here portraying as far as like, with their views and stuff like that. So then Effie and Juicy Jimmy come out, and when they do, like this lady just starts screaming at them, you're going to hell, you're going to hell, you're going to hell. And I'm just sitting there like, you got to be kidding me. So, yeah, like, talking about the Southern style, it's definitely, I got a friend that lives in Clarksville, Tennessee, and we argue about this back and forth, kind of talking about it. We argue about it. Did you see the ending of War Games Saturday?
Oh, yeah.
With Ciampa
and Paige?
Or Cole, yeah.
Yeah.
So, he goes on Twitter and he starts talking really bad about he don't like the ending of it because the crowd went silent. And I was like, dude, you got to understand, though, like, that's a good reaction for a Chicago crowd. If you can silence a Chicago crowd, you've earned your PO that night, because the Chicago crowd, they don't get silent just when something gets bad. It's automatically they start chanting CM Punk.
Yeah.
That's like your standard barrier of if something is bad.
Yeah.
Is you'll hear the CM, which is crazy, but that's what they use as a measuring stick of, well, we're so bored, we're just going to chant CM Punk.
Yeah.
And this crowd just goes silent when Ciampa does this. And you're just like, and you see, like, I see it and I'm like, well, hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal to me as far as like, because, I've seen guys like Matthew Justice and things like that who go out there and like dive off everything. Yeah. So like, it's not that big of a bump for me to see. So I'm just kind of like, it's cool, like, especially for a WWE product. Yeah. But with him down there, that's his mindset of he's like, he's really glad that NWA is back. Like, because that's the kind of way wrestling should be. So when he's seen that, he's just kind of like, just starts hating on it. I'm like, dude, you got to understand, like, that's good. Yeah. So, with that, y'all got anything y'all want to plug? Like, y'all got anything y'all want to advertise coming up? I know when you talked about customs. You got any customs you want to advertise? Like, you already put old girl out on blast. I didn't know we were going to do that, but hey, that works.
Yeah, he did. That's what he laughed.
You dug it out of me. No,
I don't think it was much digging. I was just like, hey, so let's this. And you're like, well, okay. Here's tea. We're going to drink it.
That's right. No, there's a small taping coming up in December. If you are a Customs Wrestling's fan and you want to look into that, just look up LibertyProWomen'sWrestling.com or look them up on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whichever. You can dive right into that. I'll be back on the Customs lineup in January and moving forward on from there. That's about it, other than whatever CCW may hold.
Yeah, we're just still doing our thing, so CCW and
I don't get out much.
Yeah.
Coming to my old age, I prefer to be at home.
That's pretty much it. That and listen to Lee talk about how much he loves MJF.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a very bad MJF experience. Yes, I realize it's part of the gimmick, and I still 95% believe that Marco put him up to saying something bad to me. We got about Nick Gage, my Nick Gage t-shirt. So, but that's neither here nor there. It's funny. I'm still, I think with his gimmick, sometimes it can be a little overkill. And I think if you don't kind of contain it to somewhat, I think something bad can end up coming from it.
Yeah.
I think an overzealous or person that don't get that, it's a work because, especially because like the people that don't see the other shoot interviews where people talk about it, like he's one of the nicest guys. Mm-hmm. And, we've even had some CCW fans that met him at other shows. It's like they had absolute terror. Like they didn't grasp that it was a work. Like they were like dead serious.
Yeah.
Like, and it just really bothered them. So I was just kind of like, but one last thing, talking about the customs.
It's work, baby.
It's work, yeah. I think it's a missed opportunity they don't sell tickets to this.
I don't think it's a missed opportunity. I think it's close set. Like, no, we can be as professional as we want, but there's people you just don't want around at that.
And the thing about it is people are paying for those.
It's a custom.
Yeah, those matches. And a lot of times they want complete silence and they want to hear the selling. Oh, yeah. Like,
that is not how I sell.
I wasn't talking about you.
No.
You know
I know
what
who you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. But anyway, like, they want to be able to hear that stuff. So, but on a side note, if you want to come, I can get you in for a price.
Because I'm thinking, like, I was going to put on I could probably just shout out the address of where they filmed the customs at, and y'all can deal with that problem later.
We will relocate.
But,
we already have one issue with one person that just won't go away. So, luckily he hasn't been there.
Isn't that the guy that, like, pays for the talent?
No.
Well, for the shows that night.
Okay. I was going to say the guy that you told me about.
This customs company is not tied to that wrestling promotion. We just use the building. We rent the building.
But when people come in, like the stuff we're doing with Melanie and stuff, like when people come in, we can use them.
Because I would just think that, like, there's an opportunity there for people that are willing to pay for this and do all this. Imagine, like, the experience they could get if it's like, okay, if you pre-order Little Bit versus... I don't know. I think Brittany Garcia is going to be down there, isn't she?
Is she?
I think so. I think I've seen that on the flyer.
Nice.
I've seen her work in Clarksville. She's actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you got Little Bit versus Brittany Garcia, and you purchase this match for however much that custom match costs, now, as an add-on, for an additional $75, $100, you can see your match being recorded live by having a ticket to the event.
You've got something there, but these customers, these customs fans, they don't live anywhere close to where these things are going on. They apparently have the money to buy the match, but it may be more to purchase a ticket, come down.
Mm-hmm.
Not, like I said, you are a special breed of wrestling fan. Like, you will buy a ticket and you will fly somewhere to see something your style of wrestling.
She's like, she don't want to say, you'll fly somewhere to see someone get halfway murdered with like a knife and barbed wire. It's cool. It's true. You're like, yeah, it's true.
Whatever, but I'm trying to be professional and nice about it. Like, you'd pay for that, but yeah, these people aren't that big of Ultimate fans, and honestly, if they were that big of a fan of customs, are they really someone you want to invite?
But she's not saying that about people that buy the Little Bit matches. Those are all the best fans in the world.
Right.
It's the other custom fans that don't buy those.
That's
right.
I've seen some scripts now. We've turned down some scripts that are...
Yeah, I did suggest you do that, barbed wire piranha death match. And I never got a price back on that.
It's not something we offer. I'm sorry.
Wait till you get the price.
Right. Hey, never say never. That $sign,
Yeah.
All right. So once again, thank y'all very much for being on the podcast. I look forward to having you back on here. Like I said, we kind of talked about this, kind of that transition to management within Cape Championship Wrestling. Kind of seeing how it goes future. We're excited to see how it goes from there. Like I said, coming up next few episodes, I do plan to do ones about each year, kind of talking about the behind the scenes, kind of the build-ups, things that happen, some crazy endeavors, probably some stuff that'll get me some more heat when I start talking about year 2 and some of them trips to Sykeston to the chicken buffet and things in the baseball field. But hey,
yeah, I can't wait for that.
man, I'm already getting the nasty looks already.
I'm like, what is going on here? I'm intrigued. I want to know.
So, with that being said, once again, thanks for being a guest on here. Thanks to everybody for listening. If you have any suggestions, questions, comments, concerns, feel free to shoot me an email at bigleesworld@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook at Big Lee's World. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at BigLees756. Make sure you go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Share your favorite episodes. If you missed any episodes, go back to the archive at BigLeesWorld.com or on your favorite podcast platform. Once again, thanks for listening. We appreciate all the support, and we'll be talking with y'all soon.
Whoop whoop!
Whoop whoop!